Oh, this is Mr. Hornsby 3. This is the Mr. Hornsby 3 show, and today I am going to be talking about the fate of the AEW wrestling figure line. Talk about where they might end up, where I hope they end up, you know, and and how much I hope they don't give up trying to frickin' make figures of their wrestlers anymore, because it seemed like the original AEW line started out hot. They were hard to find when they first came out, and then a lot of things happened because AEW was better than WWE when it first started. AEW was more popular at the time than WWE when they first started because they were doing something new. But since then, WWE ended up getting a little better. But then now WWE is going back to their old ways before they got rid of Vince McMahon and power. So, well, I don't know. But anyway. So let's talk about the AEW figure line now. Apparently this is the last year that Jazzwares is going to carry the line. Maybe they're going to try to make another deal with AEW to get new figures or whatnot. But we'll have to wait and see. I think nothing will be truly confirmed until we find out at Comic-Con this coming, I think it starts Thursday? Or does it technically start Friday and we got preview night today? Well, I don't know. Well, it starts Wednesday, but technically I think it starts Thursday. I don't know. It's weird out because like Wednesday is considered the preview night, so we'll see. But I think we'll find out something here at Comic-Con, what's going on. I'm sure somebody's going to talk to Jazzwares about it. I'm pretty sure somebody's going to talk to AEW about it because I'm pretty sure there's going to be some AEW wrestlers there. I'm sure Jazzwares will be there as well, revealing some other stuff. We'll just have to see. Oh, shit, man, I'm freaking tired. Rough 2 days, that's all I'll say. Anyway. So, where do I think the AEW figure line, I know a lot of other people have predicted this too, where do I think the AEW figure line will end up at? Well, I still think they might, least likely scenario to what I think is the most likely scenario, and I'm starting to believe it more and more and more and more now when I keep hearing on Kyle Peterson's show, he's been hearing some rumors, but he's not obligated to tell, but he said nobody saw this coming, and if it is who I think it is, then I guess I'm nobody, because I seen it coming, and I'll talk about that when I get to that. But least likely scenario is that maybe Tony Khan, could buy the freaking Toy Biz company. And freaking hell, he could buy the Toy Biz company. He could buy the mold for the AEW figures from Jazzwares, or just take them back. I don't know. But he could get the mold from them and have Toy Biz continue working on them that way. That's the least likely scenario. But yeah, so that could be the possibility that maybe Tony Khan just strikes up a deal with Toy Biz, gets the freaking molds, tells Toy Biz to use the molds that they already got for their AEW figures. And, either way, I think it'll be the same as Jazzwares, just not with the company Jazzwares anymore. Alright. Next scenario is one that's interesting, and the only way I think this will work is if he gets the molds and he does what he does with the DC Direct stuff and uses the old molds that Jazzwares had, and I'm talking about McFarlane Toys. Because Tom McFarlane's going to need a hole to fill once that DC license is gone this coming year. which I think they said the last time he's allowed to make anything, I think is like December. Maybe November, I don't know. December or November is the last time he's allowed to make any other DC figures. So, we'll see. I think we'll get more clarification on that at freaking Comic-Con as well. But if McFarlane Toys does do them, like I said, hopefully he does what they did with DC Direct and keep the old molds and just use the old molds to make the AEW figures. Because I don't want, you know, DC Multiverse style freaking McFarlane figures and all that stuff made. Just use the old mold that Jazzwares had. I'm sure Todd's got plenty of money to do that anyway. But, yeah, so I just use the Jazzware mold. You don't need to have the AEW figures looking like, you know, any other McFarlane action figure. And, you know, it just depends. I think McFarlane, if he can improve on the Mortal Kombat figures, and not only improve on the Mortal Kombat figures and give us more with the Mortal Kombat figures for the price point he's charging, like effect pieces and that, then I could see, and not just throwing them in 2-packs either, like actually a single carded figure coming out with the effect pieces for Mortal Kombat Classics. I think he'd have a good license with that. I've talked about that time and time and time again over the years. But I think if he does the Mortal Kombat figures right, starts taking them more seriously after he loses the DC license, I think his figures could end up rivaling the freaking Storm collectible figures eventually. Right now, they're not rivaling the Storm collectible figures. In fact, I was at the toy department yesterday, and boy, the way the freaking Storm collectible figures look compared to the way the freaking DC, or the way the freaking McFarlane Mortal Kombat Classic figures look, it's definitely night and day between those. But, you know, if he's not going to take Mortal Kombat seriously, but, you know, I'll talk about that in a minute too, but, you know, if he's not going to take Mortal Kombat seriously, then getting a wrestling license might be what he has to do. I just hope he don't make a, if he does do them, hopefully he don't make them into style that he's making his sports figures and his UFC figures. Although I've seen, somebody was doing a toy hunt and they've seen the new freaking McFarlane sports figures. Said they definitely look better to Hasbro's. I'm like, yeah, those are nice. Yeah, hopefully he makes the GOAT, Jordan, from NBA. And for NFL, I don't know. I don't know who he'd make. I mean, I got some McFarlane football figures up there. I got Andrew Luck and I got Peyton Manning. But those are statues. So these are actual articulated figures that he's coming out with the sports figures. So yeah, McFarlane Toys could be a possibility for AEW figure line. We'll just have to wait and see because, hey, never know. He might go all in on Mortal Kombat after he loses the DC license. Maybe that's why he's not going all in yet, because he's waiting for the DC license to go away. Then he goes all in on Mortal Kombat, and the people that give the Mortal Kombat figures bad reviews, even though they go and buy them all up. Like, oh, we don't like these McFarlane figures, but we're going to buy all of them up. We're going to buy the single ones. We're going to buy the 2-packs and all that stuff. But yet you're bitching about the freaking figures in your reviews and that. That makes a lot of sense. But yet you keep buying them up. I don't know. It is what it is. You know, and I know they want improvement in that. I understand that. But when you're complaining about the figure line, you're saying it's like the worst figure line you collect, then why do you still collect it? Why do you fucking buy it if you're just gonna freaking bash it when you get it? And if you don't like it in the first place? You know, so, I don't know. Some of these people, I don't know. But yeah, they'll buy up the figures. But, like, and they'll say, oh, it's for reviewing purposes, because I make content. Yeah, well, you know, I bought the Mortal Kombat figures because I actually wanted them. I did do a review of the two I got. I got to review my son's ones, but some big news came up. Which I don't know, I think I still reviewed them. I don't know, can't remember. Nah, I don't think I did. But anyway. Yeah, I was thinking about, yeah, so much stuff was going on last month for Mortal Kombat month. That's why it was a terrible Mortal Kombat month last month, but yeah. So yeah, I could see freaking, yeah, McFarlane trying to get a wrestling license. Sounds like he could have a chance to get Diamond Select toys. He could get that and make Marvel figures. But they can't be in the scale that the freaking normal Hasbro ones are. I'll talk about Hasbro here in a minute, but yeah. So yeah, but I think if he goes all in with Mortal Kombat, I think the Mortal Kombat figures will be his cash cow he can munch on with him losing the DC license. So we'll just wait and find out. So now, let's talk about Jakks Pacific. And look, we've had Jakks figures twice in our lifetimes. Or we've had Jakks wrestling figures twice in our lifetimes. When they had the WWE license, and then when they lost the WWE license to Mattel and then made TNA figures, we might see a third wrestling license under the Jakks banner in the AEW figures. But if they're gonna do that, you know, I don't want them using the style they used. The Ruthless Aggression style and the Deluxe Aggression style are out of date now. So maybe they buy the molds and then they start selling the AEW figures. Who knows? Because Jakks is a company that's done wrestling figures before. Sure, they wouldn't mind doing it again. I mean, heck, the frickin' Jazzware figures was kind of a tribute to the frickin' WWE figures that Mattel or that Jakks was making when Jakks had the license. Only problem is, what I'm worried about with Jakks too is they won't color the belts in. They didn't do that. They did do it on occasion, but they sold it with a special edition figure, and a lot of times those figures were hard to find. And you know, so I don't know, because they did it with the frickin', and they don't always get to every single frickin' belt or everything made. Like, I don't know. So, I don't know. If they do get the license, take the molds that Jazzwares had, try to improve on those molds, that's fine and dandy. Put some color to your belts, if you make the belts and all that stuff, and do all that stuff. Don't give us what you gave us with the WWE figures and the TNA figures, because, boy, I think that was the worst thing about the freaking WWE and TNA figures under Jakks. Except for the big gold belts, which were really good. Only problem is they had the freaking WWE logo on them, so. And you know, the thing was, they had like Titantron ones before that didn't have the logo, but they were smaller. So what they could have did is they could have took the freaking Titantron ones, made those the WWE version of the freaking big gold, and then used the freaking the version they used for the Ruthless Aggression figures. They could have used that to be the WCW version of the belt, but they never did that. Thankfully, Mattel learned. Took them 15 years to learn from it, but hey, Mattel learned from their mistake with the frickin' big gold belts. Because then, a couple years ago, we got the newly tooled big gold, and that's been the belt that everybody's been buying up like crazy. Every time a figure comes out with that belt, everybody buys it. So yeah, they also learned a lesson with the Winged Eagle belt when they retooled that last year. Which I'm hoping to see more of those at Comic-Con, but I'll talk about that in the final predictions of Comic-Con this Wednesday. It's a final predictions and a final wish list, because there's a few other things since the last video I did that I'm hoping to see at frickin' Comic-Con. Ain't got nothing to do with wrestling. Well, some of it has to do with wrestling, but it ain't got nothing all to do with wrestling. It's got to do with other lines, so I'll talk about that. But anyway. So Jakks, I think, yeah, could be a company that takes it and does it. A lot of people are predicting it would be Ringside, but I don't think Ringside will do that because they don't want to mess up their partnership with WWE. But they also got a partnership with AEW, so they want to be neutral between which, you know, if they did that and they were making AEW figures, I know they make the freaking unsanctioned figures in the style of the AEW figures. I feel like if they did that, that would piss off Mattel and WWE, and they wouldn't want people buying their stuff on Ringside no more. So we'd have to look at other places that would have that. So yeah, so Ringside, I don't think Ringside will make the AEW figures. I think they just want to stay neutral, so that's fine and dandy. But, let's get to Super 7. There's a good possibility Super 7 can make them. Oh, please, no, don't let Super 7 make them, because Super 7 sucks when it comes to making things. I mean, heck, I heard a lot of people bash the freaking New Japan figures they made. I thought the belts looked good. I thought, when I seen some people review the figures, the belts on the freaking Super 7 wrestling figures look good. But, I don't know, just the figures just look terrible overall. Plus, they're, like, extremely expensive as hell with Super 7. Which is odd because NECA does pretty much the same work that freaking Super 7 does on their figures, and they don't charge half as fucking much as they... Yeah, a standard Ultimate NECA figure is now like $40 now, or close to $40. But to pay $55 to frickin' $75 a piece for a frickin' figure is ridiculous. And yeah, they give a bunch of accessories in that, but then they don't always do things right. Like head sculpts might be bad, the body shape might be bad, all that stuff. Like I also think back to the 2003 Ninja Turtle figures. Them figures suck, and I hope that if frickin' Mattel is gonna, not let NECA or any other company make Ninja Turtle figures, hopefully they make good representations of the frickin' 2003 Turtles figures, because I think NECA's doing pretty good with the 2012 ones. The ones I've seen so far have looked pretty good for, the 2012 one. And then the 87 cartoon figures are just great. I have almost all of them. I just need an April O'Neil. And I could be finished with that collection. Like heck, I got the G.I. Joe Classified hoping to have a Suspentor, and never got Suspentor. I don't know. I'll just say I got all the characters I wanted from the NECA Turtle line. But, yeah, so I hope if Super 7's going to do it, hopefully they're cheaper and they make them good. But I highly doubt they will, because that's just the case with it. Now, the reason why I don't talk about the independent companies is because, I don't think they want to be that small scale to where they're working with independent wrestling figure companies. Now maybe their line could put an independent figure company into a big company. Maybe. I mean, heck. But, I think the ones that probably make the best figures independently right now are probably the ones that Matt Cardona and Brian Meyermerk. Maybe the Pinnacle guy's pretty good, the one that makes the Pinnacles. Or maybe the Zombie Sailor guy's pretty good, but I don't know. Anyhow, AEW, I don't know if they'd be that popular to where they make an independent wrestling figure company, a big time company. It would have to be the big time company making their figures bigger. Because right now, AEW still, even though it's the second biggest promotion in America, next to WWE, they're still kind of smaller in scale as compared to what WWE is. And plus, not to mention they haven't been around as long. See, with the WCW frickin', like if WCW is still around, yeah, their company could have made an independent wrestling figure company bigger. And the reason why is because they were around before WWE. In fact, I think WWE branched off from NWA. It was like some kind of dispute between McMahon and the owners of those companies. What the heck? Oh, stupid freaking thing. But I don't know. If WCW was still around, I think they'd be a company that could make an independent wrestling figure company bigger. AEW just ain't there. AEW's going to have to be around at least as long as TNA has been. Because TNA, they've been around 2002. So they've been around for like 24 years, I believe. Yeah, 24 years. Because 2002, it's 2026. So, yeah, TNA's been around for 24 years. If AEW And you know, at one point, TNA was the better alternative for WWE until they started doing stupid stuff. And then they became low tier. It was so bad that I remember we were all like, well, you know, TNA's second biggest promotion in America, and then Ring of Honor got so big and popular that that became the second promotion in America next to WWE. And even that was small in scale compared to WWE. But yeah, so I don't know. So yeah, independent wrestling figure companies could be a good route for them and a cheap route for them, but they won't get the attention they were getting like with for Jazzwares or, you know, McFarlane or frickin' Jax or something was making their figures. They won't get that. Even if Super 7 was making their figures, they'd get more freaking attention in the stores than they would with an independent wrestling figure company. And until AEW is up to the point to where they can say, well, we're bigger now, we can make a independent company become a great company, then yeah, you know, they ain't going to be able to. I don't think independent scene is the route for them. So we'll just wait and see. Like I said, I think we'll find out something. And you know, initially I didn't think we'd find out nothing at Comic-Con when earlier in the year when I talked about this. But now that I think about it, maybe we will find out something here. What better place to reveal the new AEW figure line and the new people making their figure than Comic-Con? Unless you do it at Toy Fair this October. But I don't know. They could come to the Cincy Comic Expo and freaking, you know, reveal their new figure line. Cincinnati is close to Kentucky, so yeah. Well, this is the Comic Expo's like in downtown Cincinnati, so yeah. Nothing big happens at the frickin' Cincy Comic Convention, so I don't know. I don't expect that to change anytime soon. But anyway, now for the one that I think might be the most likely place, and the reason why I keep thinking it when everybody else is just discounting it because of the fact that it's freaking a company that doesn't seem like they'd be interested in making something like that is Hasbro. The reason why I say Hasbro is because here's my justification for it. Hasbro, one of their biggest lines outside their G.I. Joe and Transformer lines is the Marvel Legend line. Mattel just went and snatched the Mattel line back from McFarlane Toys, and DC and Marvel are competitive comic, creator or, comic companies. So what other way to piss off Mattel and get back at Mattel for going into the DC line again, but then to take take the competitor to Mattel's biggest toy line, which is the WWE figures, well, outside of stuff like Masters of the Universe and that, maybe Hot Wheels, but take the competitor to Mattel's biggest figure line, which is the WWE figures. What do they spend the most time on covering at every Comic-Con every year since Mattel's taken over? It's always Mattel's WWE figure line. I don't see many people, unless you're like Pixel Dan or something, I don't see many people covering He-Man and that the way they cover the WWE figure line that Mattel has. So I wouldn't be surprised if Hasbro just did it just for that. Now again, with Hasbro though, it'd be a different story. I'd be like, yeah, you don't have to have the molds. Unless you want the molds to try to improve the molds from Jazzwares. They don't have to have the molds. They can make all new molds for AEW figures. They could probably make them better than Jazzwares did. Because, Hasbro's pretty good at making figures. But they could freaking be the ones in the running to take the AEW figure line. just to piss off Mattel. You know, because Mattel and freaking Hasbro are competitors as well. Now, yeah, I know freaking Mattel has made like homages to freaking Hasbro, like with the Hasbro style WWE figures. And now they're going into the Coliseum collection, making Hasbro style figures of the Coliseum collection figures. So, yeah. Because prior to that, it was like an homage to the LJN figures. And they're doing the Hasbro homage figures that they do like now in what, a 4-pack, and make them freaking either Comic-Con exclusives and ringside exclusives and all that. So yeah, and you know what, Mattel Creations as well. So yeah, I mean, I could see Hasbro say, okay, they got back into DC. Okay, they got DC, we got Marvel. Guess what, they got WWE, we got AEW. We can handle it. You know, it's competition at the end of the day. It's competition. No matter if these companies respect each other or not, it's competition. And frickin', I think, frickin', just for the heck of it, yeah, I think frickin' Hasbro would take the AEW line just because of Mattel taking back the DC line. Because at the time, when frickin' Mattel got the WWE license, yeah, they had the DC figures at that time. But at the time, there was no company. I mean, people could say TNA, but TNA by that point had faltered and screwed up all the goodwill they had with, you know, and they never recovered from it. Because starting in 2010, all the way up until a few years ago when they got a little bit better, then they started being bad again. Especially, and you pick a good time to become a bad product again when you're fucking on a premier channel again, and then you decide to go back to the old ways that you used to do when you were frickin', you know, first starting out. So, you know, or you go back to the habits that caused you to be on a smaller channel, which then lowered your stock as a big wrestling frickin' show. And I think, yeah, by that point, Jakks had already had the license to the TNA figures as well at that time. So they had the license to the TNA figures. So, yeah. I can see Hasbro doing it. AEW, the competitor to WWE. You know, DC, the competitor to Marvel. So they're like, yeah, well, we can get the competitor too. We'll go get, you know, AEW Jazzworth, which is a competitor to your biggest line, which is the WWE figure line. So, that's my thoughts on it. Because, honestly, I gotta say, that's the one that I think I'm probably the only one that has been predicting this. And if it does come out to be true, and if what Kyle Pearson says is true that nobody's seen it coming, then I guess I'm nobody, because, you know. But then again, somebody with a bigger channel would have a fat head like that, so I don't know. Fuck it. Anyway. But I'm not nobody. I'm somebody too. But yeah, I think that's where the freaking AEW line goes. It's going to go to Hasbro just because of the fact that Mattel went and got the DC licensing back again. And that's not going to make Hasbro happy, because you see Mattel making these cool DC figures, and then you got a Marvel figure. Some people might choose the DC figure over the Marvel figure, and that's going to piss Hasbro off, because that's going to affect their sales. And they're going to be like, well, you know what? No. Here we go. We're getting the AEW figure license. So I can see it happening. So, yeah. And whether or not AEW stays on freaking TNT and that's a talk for another time. Which I'll do another big wrestling video before we get to all the big Halloween wrestling. Maybe I'll do one early August. Who knows why? Maybe the second week of August I'll do a big wrestling a big wrestling talk video again. Talking about all the wrestling news that's been going around. But yeah. Anyway. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think we'll find out something at Comic-Con this Wednesday night? Or maybe Thursday. Do you think we'll find out? Do you think Hasbro will take the license? I know a lot of people will probably say no, so. But let me know in the comments, you know. You don't think so, that's fine. But I think they are going to get it. And I'm pretty confident that just because Mattel got that DC line back, is that's the main reason why they did it. If they do end up being the ones to make the new AEW figure. Only because, like I said, Mattel and DC are competitors. Hasbro has the big, one of their big lines is the freaking Marvel Legend figures. And Mattel going to get the DC license to compete against the Marvel license? Yeah, so we'll see. We'll find out everything in Comic-Con. I could be wrong. We may not find out nothing until next year. Sometime in the middle of next year. Maybe around Comic-Con time. Don't know, but we'll find out something eventually about the AEW figure line. Now, nothing's been officially leaked or revealed yet, so we'll find out. But yeah. So please like this video, leave a comment, subscribe for more. Follow my Facebook fan page, Mr. Hornsby 83 Show. Follow my Facebook business page, Trajan Toys. We just went to the flea market yesterday. We were going to go Saturday and Sunday, but my nephew's birthday was freaking Saturday, so we went to his birthday. Well, it wasn't Saturday, but that was his birthday party. So happy birthday to my nephew, little Steven Hornsby. Or as everybody calls him, Monkey, but I call him Funky Monkey. Funky Monkey! But yeah, I'll see you guys Wednesday for final Comic-Con wish list and predictions. And then Friday, my reactions to all the Comic-Con news that comes out. Because I'm going to be watching everybody that's going to be there covering it. From Pixel Dan to freaking My Damn Toys, Shartimus Prime, Toy Shiz. All those people that go out there every year that have the money to go out there. Hell, if I had the money to go out there, I'd go out there myself and freaking cover this stuff. But I don't have the freaking money all the time, so yeah. Especially around this time of year. But that'll do it. Catch you guys later and peace out.